Welcome to the Goon Squad Sports Radio First 40. I am Puma along with Black Thor and Ice Water. The two goons are here, so we're going to get the show started. How you doing, Black?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Listening to some old Parliament Funkadilla the other day, and the man said, George Penn said, 3 bond idiots. Sometimes I think that's us, bro.
How you doing, Ice Water?
I don't know about that idiot part. I ain't really buying into that. That's why I don't like groups.
Well, you get defined with groups. I hear you. We're gonna start this off, man, by talking about some NCAA news, and they just recently voted unanimously to immediately consider updating some of their relevant bylaws regarding giving athletes their names and images, their rights to earn money on this. And I was looking at it and thought I was real excited about it at first, and then you start reading the devil in the details, Black. And it's like it's a few years off, and then they put some wording in there that a lot of people I think aren't really paying attention to, that they're going to have their thumb on this all the while and not really kind of letting the athletes kind of make the money that I think these athletes think that they're going to make due to some of these rule changes. Your thoughts on this, man?
You know, as I was thinking about this, and I heard people talking about it earlier today, I think at some point it's going to come down to the athletes themselves basically boycotting schools and not going to these schools for this stuff to seriously change. Because, like you said, they got their thumb on. They're playing around with it because they're feeling the pressure come from different states, and some of the laws are getting ready to change, and they're going to change. So they're trying to act like they're getting ahead of it, but at the same time, they're trying to control it. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to take athletes to say, you know what? If I can't come here, yeah, you want to recruit me, but what am I going to be able to get off the field? And if you can't supply me something off the field, I don't want to play. I'll go somewhere else. And I think, I think it's a perfect time, man, for HBUs to start trying to recruit some of these folks, because I think until the talent stops going there, it's always going to be back and forth, bro. It's always going to be back and forth. But the problem is with the talent, they're looking, most of especially the superior talent, they're looking, well, I got to use this as a platform to get to X, Y, Z. When that starts to change, all this is going to change.
I remember talking about this a few weeks ago when California made their decision to go ahead and start paying athletes, and we kind of predicted that a lot of other states would follow suit. Now the NCAA is kind of stepping up, saying, "Hey, we're going to do this," and blah blah blah. But I think it's more so lip service. For me, I'm thinking it's lip service because they're trying to get out ahead of a story and not being pressured. And I thought they would be kind of pressured to do this when California did their thing. What's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, as Blackthorn mentioned, it's a lot going on, and you mentioned about reading behind, between the lines. I think they are pressured because this is happening. This is going to move forward. Before it was a little small, a small pebble in the water, but now this thing is taking on a mind of its own. And what I mean by them being pressured is the fact that this makes sense. You've had a number of even older alumni athletes that have talked about schools using their likeness and their image to make a lot of money. So with that being on the table, now it's like I think the NCAA, even though they don't want to, they have to get out in front of this. And since it's coming, they know it's coming, they better develop something. Otherwise, it's going to really destroy what they really want. This is the start of maybe a bigger thing. So with that being said, I think that the top athletes, I've always said this, the top athletes are going to be able to take advantage of their likeness and their image and things like that. But I think people continue to get confused that everybody's going to get a piece. It's not how this works. This is not about people getting paid to play. This is about image. This is about branding. The top folks will get that done. The NCAA, I think, is going to work towards. They're going to have to work towards coming up with something that works, that people will accept. And I think most importantly, the reason why this kind of changed is because your top-notch and your bigger athletic directors that have their finger on the pulse of this situation have come out and told the NCAA, you got to change this. You have to change it, or there are going to be major repercussions.
I'm wondering if they're getting pressure from corporate America, because I remember back in the day playing the video games. The only video games I would play is NCAA football, basketball, pro football, and pro basketball. I'm wondering if they're getting pressure from corporate, because since this lawsuit, when O'Bannon came out with it a long time ago, they took all those games off the market. They didn't make them anymore. And now I'm wondering if they're getting pressure from sports apparel companies that want to sell some of these jerseys and some of the T-shirts with some of the names and numbers of some of these players, and the jerseys of some of these players, and some of the apparel, and with the games and all this other stuff. Are they getting pressure from corporate? I mean, the NCAA getting pressure from corporate America to say, hey, we can make a lot of money doing this, but you guys are dragging your feet, and it's going to cost us a lot if you don't do it.
I can definitely see that as a possible thing that's happening, simply because of the fact, as you mentioned right now, I know a couple of schools like at the Ohio State University, they stopped putting players' names on the back of jerseys. So if you're number 2, you're just number 2. So when you had Ezekiel Elliott playing, everybody was pumped up about his number. They stopped doing that. So in order for this to go back to where it was, you're going to have to open the door so those individuals like Allah, who never received any money, Chris Webber, with number 4 back in the day, would have made a boatload of money.
Yeah.
So with the change happening, and the schools are still going to benefit too. Come on now, they say like, it's just all about the players. Schools, as long as that merchandise is still flowing through, and then they're still sponsoring certain things like Adidas or Oregon over at Nike, they're going to get their cut. It's just now that the players, the legitimate top level players, are going to get a chance to make money off of their image.
Back in the day when we liked the favorite player, we used to get a T-shirt that our mama wouldn't notice that was out of our drawer, get a marker and mark down the number and the name on the back of the T-shirt. But hey, they've come a long way since those days where you could actually get it custom in certain stores if you want your certain player. But is corporate really pushing this with the NCAA along with the players who might be going to schools that are recruiting them that can pay them?
No, I think so. I think it's more political, man. I think it's political. I think you see these states, individual states and groups are starting to kind of do it. And don't be surprised, man. They're thinking long term too, because the White House may change in about a year. And if the White House changed to Democratic and you got these Congress, they change and they kind of push these bills through, they're trying to get ahead of it, man, because there's a political swell that's coming. And I don't think the swell is going to get smaller. I think it's going to get bigger, especially if things change in D.C. So I think it's all political, man. I think corporate is probably sitting back and kind of keeping a close view, close eye. But I don't think corporate is that concerned, because corporate's always going to find a way to make money, bro. They're always going to find a way, because if they can pay these players on the side, they're going to do what they got to do. I think it's all political. And I think the political starts with people are just tired of seeing they're making all this money. For years, we didn't know how much they were making when it came down to March Madness and all that stuff. But over the past several years, you're starting to hear all these dollars are being made, and these kids aren't getting anything. And you start hearing all these stories of these kids going to bed hungry. That resonates with folks, man. That resonates when you realize that you're basically sitting home watching a player that at night can't get a bowl of cereal, can't go out and buy this. I think that's starting to resonate with people that are basically watching the games, and I think that's got the congressmen and congresswomen around this country looking into it. And once the government looks into it, and if they've kind of come out with a mandate, that's what they're afraid of. That's exactly what they're afraid of. So I think it's more political.
I want to follow up with what you just said. It's a related story. Do you think the NCAA, because it's kind of like a big gap before they kind of implement these policies and rules, are they trying to clean up the sport where, in Kansas and all these places where you have these federal investigations going on? Or are they trying to really kind of fine tune how they're going to do this? Because they really never gave any details and specifics on how they're going to do this, how they're going to pay out the money, who's going to get the money, things of that sort.
No, I think it's kind of, here again, it's kind of like a little hush noise, talk about a little bit, because basketball at a certain point, college basketball gets started, and once the game gets started and they tip the ball up, you're not going to be thinking about it. But let's think about this for a second. You came out, the FBI basically gave them Bill Self, handed them Bill Self on a platter. You giving this man 30, 90 days to basically do what? If you got him, bring him down now. Why are you giving Kansas all this time? Because they want this season to start. And once Bill Self starts coaching and things start to look good, and it's going to happen, as players and as fans, we're going to forget about it. It's going to get pushed under the rug. The games aren't going on now, so it's going to get pushed under the rug a little bit. And that's what they're hoping on, to get it pushed under the rug some. And that's why you see the long dates 2 or 3 years down the road. Keep pushing it under the rug, keep pushing it. And then keep an idea on what's going on politically. So no, this kind of pushing us to the side. Because to me, if you got enough on Bill, there's no way he should be walking the sideline at Kansas beginning of the season. But they're giving him an opportunity to clean things up, to negotiate, work things back and forth. And, you know, you're a fan of North Carolina. They had North Carolina. We all thought North Carolina would get penalized a couple of years ago. What happened to them? Did they win a championship in that time? I mean, let's really get to the bottom line here. So a lot of it is smoke and screens, smoke and mirrors. Don't look at this hand, because this is the hand that's going to actually do the knockout punch. That's what they're doing, bro. That's exactly what it is. All PR move there.
All right, so there's a gap between when they announce this and then when they're going to implement it. Why is the gap there? Are they trying to kind of put things in order, or are they trying to figure how they're going to get money, how the students are going to get the money, who's going to get the money, what schools? What are they trying to do within, I guess it's almost like 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, I'm going to just say this. When the money's going to a certain place, it takes time to kind of put those funds in a different place, because people have to get used to not having the money that they are receiving over a certain time period. That's just how things work in this country. You just don't see somebody automatically just change something real quick like that. It just takes time, and that's what they're going to do. They've already said they're going to do it, or they say they are, and then they're going to move forward, but it's going to take time. In regards to, like you mentioned about the policies, like going after the issues at Kansas and whatnot, I warned you a long time ago, bro. I will keep reiterating that. It sounds good. It sounds like a fairy tale. Oh, we're going to go get the people and we're going to go justice. Okay, justice is cool. It's just us. Just you and the other person talking about it. Because today, the Ohio State University is playing an exhibition game right now as we speak. November 5th, next week, the first week in November, basketball starts. So you mean to tell me you're going to go to Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas, and take down Bill Self right after the second game of the season and saying, you're a bad guy. We got to change everything we're doing and get a new coach and put our season on hold because we're going to do the right thing. Give me a break. Does it mean they're going to take him down? Perhaps. But in mid-season, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And one last thing as I get off this thing real quick. I know we heard about kids going to bed going to bed hungry, playing basketball and football. I don't know how the hell that's happening at Division I, like at Ohio State University. Do you know what they feed them at the training table? Dude, they probably throw more food away when they're at training table. And that's all day or 3 times a day what they want. I'm not saying it's not happening, but I find that real bizarre that if somebody really is that hungry, you don't understand the amount of money that is spent. I know what's spent on training tables, bro. Where they just throw food away because there are people who are done eating. Nobody else is going to eat. I don't understand that. Maybe it's something I don't know, but bruh. Anyway, we need to take a visit at some things, and we'll try to ask that question as to why, if this is happening, why is it happening?
Yeah, because it was happening at UConn, Black, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the guy that talked about it, what's his name? Shamir, I believe it was, talked about it. Was going at UConn.
Yeah.
And this is when UConn was winning championships. They were actually.
I got a question, Black. I got a question. You just mentioned that. Do you think the women's team is hungry?
I'm not going to say they're hungry, but I don't think they're pampered. For the amount of money that they're making for UConn, the university, the amount of money that the women's college basketball team has brought into UConn University, there's no way they're being treated the way they should be treated.
I give you that, but it's a difference between being treated a certain way because of what you bring to the university compared to you not eating. They're saying they're hungry. I don't get that.
Well, here's my point. If he's saying it at UConn, he had people backing him up and saying that maybe they cut off the supply of food at an early point. Maybe they stop feeding him at 8. He's hungry at 10 or 11 o'clock, and he can't get anything because he has no money. Now, I will say this: the difference with UConn and Ohio State. Ohio State has much more backing and alumni. When you talk about the money and food that they have, there's much more money poured into Ohio State than UConn, bro. The reason for Ohio State has a track history that goes longer back when it comes back to collegiate sports than UConn. UConn just really kind of picked up doing sports. It really became, let's say in the past, basketball, past 20, yeah, 80s, yeah. Ohio State, you go back to legendary coaches, all that. UConn kind of compared to Ohio State, this kind of just came on the market. So when you look at the money that's there for the food, Ohio State, even what they're doing now, they're pulling funds from 30, 40 years ago. So there's a lot of schools that don't have that luxury of Ohio State. They don't have it. So I think those kids, yeah, those are the kids that are basically, unfortunately, aren't going to bed hungry. They can't, go to bed with a full belly because maybe their school is not winning titles. Their school's not doing this, but at the same time, they're playing a game that they can't get paid for.
I mean, I'm with that. I guess my problem with that, though, is as far as the men, you can't tell me what Gino, most importantly, then those male players, they need to go see the women's players. Because I'm telling you, with the donations, with the sponsorships that the women's basketball team at Connecticut has, and the exposure, I bet you they're not going to bed hungry. I'm just saying. And the only reason I'm saying that is because being inside that, man, and I don't know about the men's team, but you better know Gino. There's nobody in Gino's team who'll be like, damn, I'm hungry. It's 11 o'clock. I ain't got nothing to eat. That's not happening, bro. And I hate to bust that bubble, but I'm keeping it 100.
Well, I think Gino's a little different in a sense because I think Gino feels a responsibility to women that come to school. Yeah. Gino went out and recruit you. He feels responsibility. I can't say the same about some of the coaches, male coaches, that were at UConn. I can't. I just can't. I can't really say them. And I think they look at these guys as pawns. But I think it's a different story with Gino when he went out. And it's part of the reason why Gino's been so successful because he connect with the parents and he connect with these kids. Well, a lot of these coaches, man, and most of the kids too is coming to UConn basketball team, man. They were just coming to get to the NBA, bro. They didn't care. They figured out for a while that was their role to get to the next point. And that goes back to what I said earlier. A lot of these kids got to start to realize, okay, they were looking at something they may never attain. A lot of the kids that came to UConn, if they made it, there's been many kids that came to UConn and made it to the NBA. They had, a couple of months in the NBA? So my point is a lot of these kids are looking way beyond. It's not only the kids, their parents. And if their parents start to understand realistically and taking your eye off the big prize, my kid may not get there, but they're going to be treated like this in the meantime. I'm not sending my kid there. A lot of start to change, especially when these kids that they got a chance going to the pros. Ain't no way in the world, man. You should be going to any of these schools. They're not treating your kid a certain way. I go back to the time that the kid graduated from Duke with the NBA. His mother said they treated it was like a slave mentality. How the hell is that your son on a campus like a slave mentality? I will get my son in the night. I would drive down there at night and take my son out of school. But she didn't because she was looking at the great prize. So don't come out afterwards. This is going on. You got to deal with it. And when you come out and say something, that's when change starts to happen. But the NCAA already know they're pipelined for the most part to make money and get kids to the NFL and the NBA. And they know it. They really know it. If the NBA stopped drafting kids come out of college, the NCAA would shrivel up like this, bro. It would. Just my opinion.
There was a running back by the name, his last name was Foster. He retired from the Houston Texans years ago. He was talking about, he was on a documentary called School, the Business of College Sports. And he was talking about how he finished the game at Tennessee and he was signing autographs. They were there after the game talking to the press, all this other stuff. And when they got back home, they had no food in the refrigerator. I guess everything was closed. The buffet was closed at the game, whatever. And he was saying in the documentary that he called the coach and said, hey, if you don't come down here and do something, we're about to go do something real stupid to get some food. We're hungry. And so I'm pretty sure this is happening on college campuses. I remember having friends who were college athletes who had those cards where they can go into the cafeteria anytime they wanted to get food, and then the card would run out. Or the stipend would run out and things of that sort. So because they require a lot of food to keep up that energy to play, or the timing is not right for the caf to be open, things of that sort. So I could see this happening, and maybe different campuses, approach this differently. So it can't be something that Napier just pulled out the sky. I'm pretty sure it is happening in some campuses where folks don't have the luxury of having those Ohio State budgets and all that other stuff to handle all those players.
Can I ask one last question?
Sure.
Or make one last point? I was talking to a very well-known AD, and one of the things that I think people, and I'm not saying everybody's situation may be different, but when we talk about these scholarships and whatnot, one of the things that people don't understand is depending on your family situation, financial situation. Do you know that athletes, depending on their financial situation, even though they receive a scholarship, can still apply for the Pell Grant and receive those monies?
Did
you know that?
Didn't know that.
How much is a Pell Grant, though?
Well, I mean, what? Okay,
I'm
well,
going to say this.
Go ahead.
It's what you say, because there was a kid, my son was telling me the other day, man, a kid applied for FAFSA. You know how much they're going to give him a Pell Grant? $2,000.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that's no money.
But that's $2,000 before you didn't have it all. You hungry, right? That's $2,000 to the good.
Bro, you start school in August. You know how quick you're gonna burn through $2,000?
All right, look, hey, let's throw it. Hey, Mr. Puma, will you jump in here real quick? How much would $2,000 done for you in a year at Wilberforce? Force?
Bro, I went to school 20 years ago, man.
It's the same thing. Look, $2,000 is $20,000. That's part of it. But where the hell you eating at?
You can average maybe
and the training. Where are you eating at?
Eat good, like you average it out. You eat good like $200 a week. I mean, every 2 weeks. You're gonna run out of that $2,000.
Bro, I get that, but here's my thing. We talking about training table. We talking about so many other things. They don't live like everybody else. Most of them, they don't. All I'm saying is, granted, there might be happening, but it's like, oh, it's me. Dude, you get Pell Grant too, and some other stuff too. I'm just saying, is it a problem? It could be. But it's not like, oh, they over here in the corner, they starving, we need to send them $100. Come on, man.
Bro, I'll just say this, man. The NCAA has been making billions, bro. Billions. And it's a problem that they have not stepped out and they don't intend to, because they don't want to stop making their billions. Seriously, I mean, there's many schools out there that's not Ohio State. There are plenty of them out there. This is a little going off the beaten path. How you have Ohio, Alabama, play these schools, give them $500,000, come and beat their brains out, bro. Seriously. I mean, and those schools probably getting their brains beaten. You think they send that money in the cafeteria? I seriously doubt it.
I get that.
That's what I'm trying to say. So there's so much wrong with the NCAA to where even this pay for play stuff, that's the tip of the iceberg, man. I'm serious. It's the tip of the iceberg. It's set up so these major schools, if you look at the top 5 schools now in the AP poll, Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, all these schools are set to be there every year because they're the top grossing universities when it comes down to sports. It's no incident that they don't play anybody all year. It's all planned, bro. But you got other schools like Appalachian State, where these kids go to these schools hoping to get a good education and they love to play sports. They don't have an opportunity. They're not going to eat well that night, bro, because they're not going to Oklahoma. They're not going to Alabama. They're not going to Duke. Same thing with basketball. When you got the basketball, you got Michigan State, you got Michigan. These schools, there's so many other schools that these kids don't have an opportunity because they can't compete with them on a financial level. So, yes, those players, those athletes, they're going to be treated well. They're going to eat well. But there's hundreds of colleges out here, bro, where they're all trying to do the same thing. They're not getting service. They're not. And they fall right under NCAA. They're not getting service. It's just,
we're gonna leave that there because we're gonna agree to disagree on this. Yeah. Because look, I'm gonna start bringing some former athletes on here that didn't go to them major schools that you mentioned and talking about whether or not they was hungry. So we're gonna agree to this.
I can find some others too, bro.
Oh, that's cool. Let's do it then. Let's do it. That's gonna make the show better.
Right.
Who would name some? Name some.
I feel like Don King right now. I need to do this on the pay-per-view and have you two just duke it out and bring your guests.
That's why we do what we do, because people need to realize, see both sides of it and understand, and not just accept what other people, anybody tells you.
Yeah. Both sides of every story.
Exactly.
Let's go to the next story, man. And I saw this kind of coming. I didn't see this coming early, but some officials, they say some officials in the Nets organization are talking about Kyrie and his moodiness. And so we've seen this in Cleveland. We've seen this in Boston. All I see Kyrie doing now, the highlights, him dribbling around like the Harlem Globetrotters and them still losing with the Nets. I guess it's a show for folks watching ESPN and the highlights. But he was dribbling one time and threw the ball up, refused to pass the ball, just threw the ball up, and they missed it. And a friend of mine he sent me the caption in the video, and all I did under it said, "Pass the ball." Ice water. This moodiness. Could this be affecting the Nets in the long haul? Because I see it coming. I really see it coming. I thought it was a bad idea for him, KD, and I'm gonna let Black talk about KD. I'm not even gonna hold back on that. And then Jordan there, and I'm not sure that this is gonna work with all three of them there and the cast that they have, man.
I better take a breath. I need to take a breath first before I say something. Let me take a breath. I find it bizarre as heck to me that you knew who this guy is before they agreed to this. Yep. They knew who he was. They knew he's a prima donna. And is he moody? Come on, are you kidding me? What? Prima donna is not moody. I'm serious. You talk about Durant, he just saw here prima donna. Okay. But you knew that before you signed him. Now all of a sudden everybody want to break it down. Why is he so moody? Is it going to affect the team? Yeah, but did you sign him? If he's such a cancer, so bad, why'd you sign him? Let him go to Detroit then. They beat the hell out you. Right? They kill me with this. And then the media jumps in. He moody. Okay, he is who he is. Does that not make him a good basketball player? So it's something to talk about. I get that, but come on, man. You knew before you signed him, you knew. They had to know. It was evident. Boston, he turned his back on them. He showed them what was going on. Cleveland, he showed you some kind of way. But yeah, he want to play with his guys, and your team is struggling. You had a nice little team when you had with D'Angelo Russell, but you weren't going to get close to the championship. And now Durant's coming. So it's a thing to talk about for a year. But when Durant comes back, you're like, oh, well, he's moody, but we love him. This is just how this game works, man. They kill me with this. It's like, come on, man. You knew before you signed him what he was. Like what Dennis Green said. He is who you thought he was.
Like there's an old story where this creature helps a snake out, and they think they buddy with the snake, and then the snake one day bites him. And the snake says, you knew it was a snake in the first place, so why did you let me bite you? I saw this coming.
I remember 2 years ago, bro, I said, boy, such a trick. Kyrie, why drink it? I said it then. I saw this 3 years ago, so it doesn't surprise me, but I agree with Ice to an extent. You knew what you were signing, what you were getting. But reality is this for me with a lot of young NBA players, man. Moody is bitchy, bro. Men aren't moody necessarily. That's bitchy. And there's too much feminism going on with NBA sports. You talk about Kevin Durant. I'm serious, bro. You're talking about, because you mean when I hear moody, you know what I hear? Is that as a coach, you take a veteran, sit him in that damn locker. This is what Bill Parcells would do. Take a veteran, sit him and kick his ass. That's what you do, bro. Yeah. And come back and be moody tomorrow and get your ass kicked again tomorrow. That's what you do. You don't go talk to the media. You don't go do this. You sit a veteran in there, you bump his ass, he says something out the wrong way, he's moody, tear him down. Tear him down. You tear him down every day until that moody decides not to come to your locker room. That's how you deal with it. It's too much feminism. Oh, my mom. You know what I mean? I'm tired of it, bro. I'm sick and tired of it. You know what I mean? Just because you can dribble, I don't even care. It's another thing. If I'm on the damn basketball court, you ain't passing the ball, bro, we get in the locker room, you and I got a conversation. You and I got a conversation, bro. It's going to be a conversation. Close the door. There's 9 other players in there. He is one player. You got 9 players in, bro. This is going to be the last time one of us is open. And that's one thing I know he apologized for, but that's one thing I liked about what Homeboy did with Golden State with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was like, who the F you to clap and get your ball? And he didn't give the ball to him, and he told him. He dealt with him like a man. Everybody was like, why he's talking to Kevin? Because what Kevin Durant did was bitchy. Who is he to clap the ball like and give me the ball? Who are you, Kevin Durant? So that's what I'm saying. A lot of these players, man, it's that raised by mama mentality. You a baby, that's my baby. Anybody gonna hurt my baby? No, not on my team, bro. Not on my team. Like I said, he ain't passing the ball. Close the door, deal with him. There should be nothing said to the media. When he showed up to the game with a bandage on his eye, everybody know what took place.
Hey, Puma, real quick. This is 1978 with Maurice Lucas. What Black would be coaching. This is 2019. It's soft as hell. That's the way it is. You're talking about 1978 with Maurice Lucas tearing out the toilets out the wall, smoking cigarettes at halftime. Man.
That was my boy too, Maurice Lucas. It's true. I mean, you see it in football, you see it everywhere. You got the idiot OBJ up in Cleveland. Oh, they're not giving me enough. Bro, you ain't catching what they throwing to you. Because you spent half the time walking on a dress in preseason. Now you want to complain you ain't getting enough pass thrown to you. Here again, shut the door, deal with them, bro. Deal with them. And that's the problem. A coach need to have somebody to sit in there and say, look, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You're going to pass the ball. You're going to do X, Y, Z. You're paying them $1 million. You're scared to talk to him and deal with him like a man. I don't understand it. And that's the problem with everyday sports. And they pamper these guys all day long. Pamper. At some point, take the diapers off, treat them like men.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go to our last story before we go to overtime. Mike D'Antoni, he's the lame duck coach. I can't see him being there after this year. And if this experiment goes real, real bad, Ice, it's going to be adios for Mike D.
Well, you knew that coming in, though. I mean, this is another thing. Why people are like, they are surprised? He's on the last year of his contract. They did not extend him, did they?
No.
It's kind of like when you look at certain things, they did not extend him. They're going to try to get through this and hope they get through it. And if they do get through it and they don't like it, then they'll get somebody else. But he is lame duck. He's been that way for a while. One, because they got rid of when they made that nice little run, and when Chris Paul got hurt, they had the pieces in place. But the off season, they let things get away. A la Trevor Ariza and the other big fella that ended up going to the Clippers. They need defense. They can score all day long. They need defense. So, of course, when they flipped over now, you got Westbrook. Things aren't the same as a team. So now what they're going to do, they're just going to kind of wait, and he's going to be the scapegoat. And they're not going to win. He's going to be the scapegoat. And to very quickly to see that somebody had them considered as a contender to win it all. Have you looked at that roster?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to be Houston's number 3 in the West. What are you smoking? Like they said, something's stinking. I want some of that.
We saw this in New York, Black, when New York Knicks were near the talented team or in contention like the Houston Rockets. And if you're counting on defense from Houston, it ain't coming from D'Antonio.
Yeah. I mean, if I was Mike D'Antoni, I mean, I would actually resign, bro. I mean, I would. If you can handle it financially, walk away and let the team just totally collapse. Because who they put in your place is not going to do any better because, like you said, they're not set to play defense. Furthermore, tell Westbrook to get those damn faggot-ass braids out of his head, too.
Oh, God.
That's what you need
Mr. 80s. Mr. 80s.
You can't walk around like that on my team, bro. I'm sorry.
Mr. 80s.
Like that. What the hell's going on with there, man?
Oh, so.
Mr. 80s.
It is what it is, bro. We don't want to look at him. More or less coaching, bro. But anyway, get back to you.
Hey, it's 1986, bro. Come on.
Back to your question. If I was him, I would resign, bro. I would just resign because he's putting in no one situation. They're not going to win. There's only so many nights Harden can give you 40 points, and you're probably still going to lose, bro. What are you doing? I mean, seriously, at some point, have some dignity, step aside, move along. But another coach, man, that's probably don't be surprised if Walton gets fired in the next month or two, man. They're giving 30, 25-point losses per game. They're not playing defense. He's supposed to be having them play defense. They haven't bought into him. Don't be surprised. He's another one.
Well, maybe D'Antonio can go over there, man, because I can't see him lasting with Houston. And they're relying on playing defense in the Western Conference. If he starts to slip to the 7th, 8th, and under that 8th seed, I can't see him being there at Houston as a coach because he is not an expert on defense. Maybe you can bring somebody in as a defensive coordinator in basketball. Whoever heard of such? But you could bring somebody in. But you got a bunch of players who want to score, and they're not going to really commit to defense. And that's what you need on defense. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. We're going to be talking about, I got my King Cup out. I got my King Cup out for my favorite beverage, and my kid, look at Black, like he can't stand it. His shirt is itching because I'm in first place.
All I know is, man, I looked at the picks for this week, right? In the order, it seemed like we got the same order this week we had last week. What was the order last week?
No, we don't. I went first last week.
And who went second?
I think Pop went, or Ice went after me.
No, Ice went last week.
No, I did not. It don't matter. You already winning. Do it matter? Stephanie. Look, we're not going to catch him anyway. Have you looked at the schedule for the next 8 weeks?
Oh, no, bro. Nah.
You can't tell him that. He going to tail grab me. That's what he told me. He going to tail grab me.
We got plenty more weeks. Season just started.
I'm good, Puma. If you win, congratulations. As long as he don't win.
Black, give me your eye test real quick and tease the folks for our NFL picks in overtime on Blog Talk Radio.
Well, in reality, we all did good with our picks last week, man. It was interesting to see that Chicago. I mean, I know everybody's mad about the quarterback, but they can't find a damn kicker to see if they'll like it. How you give that game up? And then I'm gonna leave some of the stuff. I just want to say this: Joe Flacco. Did you ever complain about the play calling?
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, you've been stealing money for the past 10 years, bro. And you go over here and talk about the play calling? How about your passing for the last 10 years? I'm here again, another locker room incident. Shut your mouth. I mean, I can't imagine he complained about the play. I watched him in that game. And I'm like, who you throwing to, Joe? Who you throwing to? But anyway.
And somebody must have got him in that locker room in Denver because he's out with a hurt neck now.
That's me. I will say this, man. Green Bay has found something, bro. And I don't know how far it's going to take him, but that damn Drew Brees, I didn't think he should have came back last week, but that Rouser was slinging that ball Sunday, bro. I know one thing. Sunday morning, 9:30, football game. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm rolling over. All right, so got about a couple minutes left, man. Give me your eye test.
All I can do is give kudos to San Francisco. That team is for real. At first, I was like, a little bit, not know how good they were, but they're very solid, a very good team. The Bengals are done with their experiment. They are seriously on the clock. They're tanking. They're taking Andy Dalton. He wants to be traded now, and they're going to put their young quarterback in there. They're trying to get Chase Young out of The Ohio State University as their first pick.
All right. We're going to catch you on overtime. Catch me sipping out my favorite cup, my favorite beverage, a frosty beverage. Making my pick. I'm even going to pick an upset this week just to get the boys, tease the boys a little bit. So check out my upset on the overtime. It's going to be a big upset, but I think it's going to be an upset. It's a team that is undefeated. They're only 2, but I'm picking against this week. So check me out. I got the picks. I got the wins to do it. So I can kind of splurge a little bit.
But I thought he going for you, boy. I'm good. I won last year.
You're good, all right. Yeah, you're good, all right. Watch what happens this week.
Hey, as long as you don't win. As long as you don't win, I'm good. I don't care. As long as you don't win, we all good.
See the hate?
Ain't no hate. It's reality. You know how we go. You be calling up talking about, look, you be calling up talking about, man, oh, man, the numbers ain't right. You need to really look at them numbers. Redo the math. Damn.
We'll catch you on Blog Talk Radio.
Sleep with Ice.